Hi, I'm Melissa Anderson. Welcome to Utah and Me. You know, according to the National Institute on Drug Abuse, people are more likely to begin use of drugs, alcohol, and even tobacco in their teenage years. With us today to talk about getting the word out on preventing that use are members of the Washington County Youth Coalition. We have Teresa, you are a youth advisor. We have Wes, and you are with a high school here. And Rachel Benyon. Welcome to all three of you. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having us.
You have been so busy, but Teresa, I want to set the groundwork here. What is the Washington County Youth Coalition? When was it started, and why do we have it?
Okay, so the Youth Coalition was started in about 2010, and it's a subsidiary of our Adult Coalition, which is a substance abuse coalition. And the youth are great because they are passionate about these issues. They have a strong influence on their peers, and they're great at educating other people in the community, especially those that are their age.
And so is this in every school, or has it just progressed?
So the coalition is a countywide coalition, but we have 7 secondary schools that are involved. So it's a compilation of all of the secondary schools in our community.
And do they have these throughout the state then of Utah?
They do. Mm-hmm. Not all of the communities have a youth coalition. We're fortunate that we've got some youth that are really passionate and involved.
Wes, tell us what school you go to and why you decided to become a part of this.
I go to Pineview High School, and I wanted to be a part of the coalition because I wanted to make more of a difference in my community. I did want to learn more about e-cigarette use, tobacco use, substance abuse, but also a long time ago, I had some family situations that I wouldn't want any other teenager or any other kid to go through. So, and I want to raise awareness of the dangers of these uses.
And Rachel, what school are you from, and how long have you been in the coalition?
I go to Dixie High School, and I've been since the beginning of my sophomore year.
And why did you join?
I joined because I just felt very welcomed when I went into the first meeting I went to. I felt welcome, and I felt like I could make a difference, and that it was something that I wanted to do.
So tell me, going to these schools, what kind of problems do you see?
Well, the major one right now is vaping. We had a 350% increase in ages 13 to 18, which is a very big problem. And so kids do it in classrooms, they vape into their backpacks and the teacher's not looking, and I think that's crazy.
Yeah, especially since you were supposed to be 19 to be able to even get these vapes. Now, vaping is actually a nationwide problem. We've heard about it in the news recently. They don't really know what it does to your lungs, and youth, that it's really a bad thing for youth to do. Tell us, Wes, you've studied this a little bit. Tell us about what vaping or what that tobacco and that kind of use could do to your brain.
Yeah, the effects on the brain are pretty big. During this age, around 12 to 13 to 22 to 25 years old, the brain is still developing. During this development, a lot of things are changing, and when something gets in and starts affecting the brain, it can have a permanent impact on the brain. Nicotine affects the prefrontal cortex, which consists of your frontal lobes, which pretty much your decision making, planning, has personality, memory, a lot of these things that are definitely useful during this age, all age.
Yeah.
But and that can be affected permanently.
Right, and a lot of people don't realize it, but nicotine is a drug. And it's an addictive drug, and that's another reason why. Tell us why, Rachel, you think that e-cigarettes are so attractive to youth?
Well, 80% of kids who use tobacco started with flavored products. It's really the flavors that are enticing the kids. It's bringing them in. There's flavors like cotton candy, cherry, grape, really flavors that are appealing to youth, not as much as adults. So I think they're targeting the youth for sure with the flavors.
And how many flavors are out there?
15,500, around there.
Wow, that's incredible. So you really believe that maybe the tobacco companies are trying to entice the youth thing?
Yeah,
now,
sure.
I understand, Teresa, that the coalition is out there to educate the public, and you guys travel all over to do that. And one of the most recent places that you went was in the last legislative session was up to the Capitol with these youth, and they could spread their advocacy for a couple of bills. Tell us about what a couple of the bills were that you were looking to support.
So we were advocating for a couple of bills. One was for increasing the taxes on electronic cigarettes, because we know that's one of the most effective tools we have in reducing youth rates. Pricing is a really important factor for young people, and so if we could outprice them for tobacco products, we can reduce their underage use. We also were trying to get some things changed with the flavoring and the way that they target young people. And then there was a bill on the table for Tobacco 21, which we've advocated for years, but there was some preemptive language in that bill that would have undone some of the local work that we've done. So we weren't advocating for that this year. We were hoping that they would take that language out, and then we could advocate again, but that bill passed.
How big of a difference do you think these youth made in getting these pushed forward? I understand that the e-cig bill did not pass, but by a margin. That was going to be an 86% increase in tax. And then the other one on the flavors didn't pass either, but the 21 did. How big of an impact do you think that your youth have on this?
We know that legislators listen to young people. They're their future constituents, and they really do have an impact. They have a voice. They introduced our youth on the floor, which was really exciting, and talked about the impact that they have when they take the time and come up to talk to them about some of these important topics.
How did you guys feel about that? How did it make you feel to be up there talking to senators and representatives about, from our district and our area here about these issues?
Well, at first I was definitely nervous because, they have a lot of power, and I felt like we couldn't really make a difference, but it ended up being really cool because they had a lot of questions that they asked us, and we were able to answer them, which I think really upped us up.
If you think it will help if we're able to outlaw the flavors, it's going to reduce the attractiveness of them trying.
Yes. Yeah, so 84% of youth reported that they would not use e-cigarettes or other tobacco products if they were not flavored.
So I'm a senior at Dixie High School, and I often see teenagers vaping into their backpacks while teachers are not facing them. They're writing on the board, doing equations, and the students will vape into their backpacks because the teachers don't notice.
It was really encouraging to have a team with you, and all with facts, and we had everything, we had our plan, and we have some awesome leaders that help us out too with all the information and getting it out, and it was really an awesome time. It was a little nervous. I was a little nervous, but it ended up being really, really fun, and we were able to engage with these lawmakers that they wanted to hear what we had to say.
That's great influence. Now you also head to Washington, D.C., and that's even a bigger step, and I know these other youth coalitions from across Utah probably do the same thing. Tell us about what you would do there.
So we would meet with legislators on a federal level and also advocate for any kind of legislation that promotes health and safety for young people. And depending on whatever legislation's in the mix at that time, that's what we would do, is talk to them about some of the reasons why we are promoting or possibly supporting different
legislation.
Yeah.
On a national level. You're associated with the CADCA. Tell us what CADCA is and how that's a national level.
Yes, so CADCA is Community Anti-Drug Coalitions of America, and we are networked in with them. They help us with a lot of the education, and it's also it's a nationwide cohort that helps keep us in the running on in
what's going on nationwide. And
right.
I know there's a lot of other states that we're pushing against the e-cigs too for youth use.
Yes.
Nationally, and it's interesting to see where that's going to go in the future, even though we didn't quite make it here in Utah on that age thing. You also focus with the Washington County Youth Coalition, you focus on the reduction of illegal alcohol use, and that's been a big one since time began, since my age. Tell me about those efforts and how far those have gone.
Utah's been working on bills that help protect young people.
And they, here in Washington County, do we have a problem with alcohol among youth? Or is it more e-cigs?
Well, electronic cigarettes are obviously our number one priority, but alcohol, we've seen some reduction in alcohol over the last couple years because of the strategies that we've been using. The last couple years we've seen a little uptick, so we are going to be focusing on underage drinking again with some of the projects that we're doing. We're focusing on parents empowered and helping parents understand that the way that they can help their young people is to bond with them, monitor what they're doing, and to create healthy boundaries within their families.
Right.
So we're educating parents, we're trying to get the word out in the media so that they understand some of the things that they're empowered to do as parents.
I've seen some of those commercials on TV, as well as in the movie theaters, that basically have trying to say, hey, my kids don't drink. When they go to parties, they're offered a beer and they say, no thanks.
Yep.
That's pretty cool to show that. What do you guys think about that? I mean, you're the peers, and I know that partying is supposedly a great big fun thing to do, but how do you tell your peers at school and things why it's not cool?
Well, the biggest thing is education. I would say letting people know about the dangers of it. And with alcohol use, I'm sure that a good amount know the dangers of it. So I think we do have to go a little bit more than education. So with the coalition, we like to do a lot of, we like to hand out surveys, and we do activities with people to at least get on, try and get a personal level with these youth and with our peers, to try and let them know that this is potentially dangerous, and in our schools, it is I would say it is very important to get more on that personal level.
Well, not to mention that kids could get in car accidents. Bad things can happen when you start mixing alcohol, drugs, and youth together.
Yeah.
And so what kind of activities then do you do to try to, make people aware, I guess?
Well, we had a drug facts week a couple weeks ago, and we made little posters with facts on it about drugs. I'm pretty sure people didn't know. We put them around the hallways in school. We have a kick butts day that's coming up. It's a giant kickball tournament we have with the schools, and it's to show to kick cigarette butts away. It's gonna be fun. I'm excited.
So a lot of different activities. So other than tobacco and alcohol that we've talked about, what other kind of substances are out there that youth are using these days?
Marijuana is one of them, and prescription drugs.
And how prevalent are those? What's going on with that in the schools?
Well, I think marijuana is a big one because our neighboring states, it's legal there, so they can get it from there, and then so it's easy access, easier now.
Right.
Yeah, and also other states are doing it, so and it's gonna seep into our state. And so the thing is, though, is I assume that we all think that they're doing it, right? So other states it's okay with them, so it's not that bad. It's not a big problem. So exactly what Rachel said. They go over to neighboring states and they grab some and bring it over here, and
Which is illegal, by the way.
yes,
We
illegal.
did have a medical marijuana bill that passed, and so we do have medical marijuana here, but it hasn't really taken hold yet. But I imagine because of that public perception of it being okay to do, that youth think, well, so what? We can do it too, right?
Yeah, you're right.
And that's one of the things the youth are working hard on, is to increase that perception of risk so that their peers understand this is a drug, it's dangerous. Even though it's legal in other states, it's not something that we want to promote here. We want them to understand the harm that it can cause to the adolescent brain and the harm that it can cause to families and individuals.
Harm to your lungs, harm to everything, really, if you think about it.
Yeah.
So what do you do to try to educate youth on opioids. That's one you don't hear a lot about, but nationwide you do for adults. But what's the opioid issue like here among the youth? I know that Utah has one of the higher opioid problems, but I don't know about the youth.
Yeah, so for young people, we don't have a huge problem with the opiates, but what we do want to educate young people on is how to safeguard the ones that they have. We've heard a lot of young people say that if they have an injury or if they have their wisdom teeth out, some of their peers are coming and asking them if they have available drugs. So one of the other ways that we've tried to combat that and not have an excess of drugs in the community is with our prescription take-back days. We've educated our medical providers to help them understand that there are methods that they can prescribe that reduce access to too many pills later on, or there are other ways that you can deal with your pain that's just as effective without using pain meds.
Do you guys ever get offered drugs at school? Pills? Seen them hanging around?
I haven't seen pills. I've seen e-cigs, but not as much as pills.
Good.
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of
Well,
them.
that's good. That means it must be working. Tell us about the SROs in your school, the school resource officers. What kind of a difference do they make in monitoring the halls, and can they go and approach kids who might be smoking those e-cigs in their backpacks or what?
Well, it's really nice to the officers at my school. They're really friendly with the kids, and they'll come in during lunch and the officer will talk to some of the kids, and it's not an intimidation approach. It's all just getting to know each other, and so the officers are getting more on a personal level with a lot of these kids, and it's really nice to see them do that. And so it is easy. Personally, it's easy to go up to them and say, hey, there's a problem going on in this class, or and I'm concerned about one of my friends, and they just have that aura to them.
More of a mentorship then too. I mean,
Yeah.
you look up to them, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
They kind of become your
exactly.
friend. How about the teachers? Do they catch the kids with the jewels, and what happens if they have them, and what
Well,
happens?
I don't know. I think they should be more cautious about jewels, because jewels, I believe it's equivalent to one pack of cigarettes, like using one jewel. So I think they just need to be more cautious of when they see kids with USB drives. Is it actually a USB drive or is it a jewel?
And for those who don't know, I should have mentioned that a jewel is actually like an e-cig. It's about the size of like you said, a flash drive. It can be hidden. It can be put in your pocket, in your hand.
You can charge it with computers and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so they could be potentially dangerous too, if they blow up. I don't
Yeah.
know. You've seen them. What about school buses? We see activity on school buses, or?
Well, I think our advisors have mentioned before that there's been e-cigarette use on every bus in our district.
Oh wow.
So
they see that through the cameras on the buses, or what?
They've been reported by other students.
I see.
So
Because I know a lot of the buses have been putting cameras on recently, so it's interesting. So what would you say to other youth who might want to become involved in the Youth Coalition, and how would you encourage them to join if they were interested in getting hold of someone in their school district?
I'd say, apply. Just recently, one of the other guys on the coalition as well, that goes to Pineview, we did this little lesson in this lunch side activity at our school called Hope for Tomorrow. And we talked about our activity at the Capitol and what the coalition is doing. And at the end, we were talking to them about what they could do, what they can do as a voice in the community. And we were encouraging them to, if there's something that it's wrong, then stand up for it. And we asked them how many of them are interested in joining the coalition, and we had about 5 hands, and then we want to get those in and signing up, and obviously we'll talk more about what applying is, but yeah, it's really nice to see other kids also wanting to stand up for this.
So do you have a lot of friends that have joined? Have you encouraged them to? And
I've had a couple of friends join with me. Yeah, we've me and this family friend, his older brother encouraged us to join, so we've been doing it together.
And if they don't know another youth that's involved, they can go to the school counselors, and they have applications as well.
And you also have an adult coalition too, so it's not just the youth that are involved in the prevention efforts here, down here in southern Utah, correct?
Right.
So anyway, what are the next steps? What's your future goals?
So with the adult coalition or with the youth coalition?
Both. I mean, what's your overall goal to try to bring this all together? And obviously, we would love to just see you get rid of everything, but it's a process, as we saw with the legislature.
So our ultimate goal is to reduce accessibility for substances in our community and increase perception of risk. That's the overall goal in the community for all the substances that are available, but we'll continue to advocate for policies that protect our youth and that keep our community healthy and safe. We will continue to find evidence-based strategies that we know are effective in reducing substance abuse. We'll continue to educate the community, and we'll continue to work with these young people so that future generations have better access to information regarding some of these newer things that are coming up.
Well, you're obviously very well educated yourselves in informing people on all these issues, because I've learned a lot from already. So I'd like to say thank you to you guys for doing that. Anything you guys would like to say about what your goals are in the future? I mean, obviously you're a senior and you're a junior, is that right? So tell me about what you hope to do with this once you get a little older. Is there something you're going to continue with?
Yeah, I think it would be really awesome to join the adult coalition, but one of the reasons I wanted to join this coalition was to become educated, so I can learn more about it, so I'd be able to educate others, and I'm sure that I'll keep this with me, and coalition or not, I'll be able to educate people around me about the dangers and help others gain a perception of risk of e-cigarette use and alcohol use and substance abuse. It's definitely something that I'll still fight against.
And it sounds like you know so much about the brain, you might even go in and do something with that.
Exactly, yes.
How about you?
I think the same. I just think maybe when I get older I could do a future career in it, because I really like talking about it and telling people, because it's really cool to see them oh, I didn't know that.
Well, I just think you have a great leader here too, because I know Teresa has been a great advocate in our community, and I thank you for that. And is there anything else you'd like to mention to the people out there about how they could get on board or how they could help out and become educated or become an educator?
We would love to get more people involved in our coalition. As you know, Melissa's been involved for a while, and we have work groups that can do things if you can't make it to the monthly meetings. We have strategies going on all the time in the community, and would like to get people involved in that.
Yeah, well, the more the merrier, right? And
absolutely.
You guys don't give up on talking to those legislators, because I'm sure that they hear what you say. There's just a lot of reasons why sometimes they don't pass things. It's all got to do with money. All right, so I appreciate your efforts, and I'd like to personally thank both of you as youth, and I'd like to thank you, Teresa, for coming and joining us today and being on our show. And just wish you the best in your efforts in the future. And if there's anything we can do, we can talk about it again some more. Okay. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I'd just like to say thanks to all of you out there. And remember, a little bit of education goes a long way. So, parents, talk to your children, talk with your kids, let them know how you feel about drugs, alcohol, abuse of any kind of substances. And keep them away from your children, because that's obviously the problem that we're seeing is kids go into file cabinets and things, and they get the medication out and they start having pill parties or things. They don't really know what they're taking, so it's up to us as adults to keep that out of reach of children and to educate. So I'd just like to say thank you for helping with that. And as we wrap up, we would like to say thank you to the Inn at Entrada for hosting our production. And for more information on how to book your own getaway, please call 435-634-7100, and that's 435-634-7100, or you can visit them online at innatentrada.com. But before we go, let's take a step outside of view a little bit of the beauty here in southern Utah. Thanks for watching, and we hope you have a great rest of your day.